Welcome to this edition of The District. I am Joan Garner, your Fulton County Commissioner for District 6. On today's show, we will be joined by MARTA General Manager and CEO Keith Parker and MARTA Board Chairman Frederick L. Daniels, Jr. to discuss MARTA's new public service campaign and plans for the future. We have a great show planned. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the District. We have a great show planned for you today. I am Joan Garner, your Fulton County Commissioner for District 6. Joining us today is MARTA General Manager and CEO Keith Parker and MARTA Board Chairman Frederick L. Daniels, Jr. to discuss MARTA's new public service campaign and plans for the future. Keith and Fred, may I call you Fred?
Please.
Welcome to the District.
Thank you.
So, Keith, let's start this conversation with you. I'm hearing that MARTA is undergoing a lot of changes. Can you tell us about some of the most important things that you're working on right now?
Sure. The agency has had a few tough years, obviously with the recession impacting the amount of revenue the agency had to provide services. We had to end up cutting service, raising fares. Our employees have not enjoyed a raise in quite some time. And we're trying to turn all those things around. So in December, for example, we'll be adding more service to our rail service as well as and some enhanced bus service along selected routes. Our customers, thankfully, will not have to endure another fare increase through this year or the next year. We have ordered and will be receiving now 80 buses per year for the next 3 years, essentially replacing half our fleet. So we'll go from one of the oldest bus fleets in the country to one of the newer ones. The agency is also investing in some real great technologies, including a new phone app that gives real-time bus and rail information that we developed in-house. So from your smartphone, you can literally just go on an icon and it'll tell you where the closest bus stop is. Hit another button and it'll tell you what time that bus will be there. You can plan your entire trip and do the same thing on the rail system. So a lot of really exciting activities. But the one that probably is getting the most attention is our Ride with Respect campaign. And that's an effort to make sure that every customer enjoys a great ride while they're riding with MARTA.
So that was my next question. I'm glad you explained it. So let's go to the next question, which is how will you be able to enforce this new Ride with Respect campaign?
Well, what we're looking for is the simple civilities that everybody expects when they ride on a bus, a train, or in any of our facilities. And MARTA, by the way, is one of the safer transit systems in the country. We don't have very many big crimes like assaults or homicides or any of those type things. What we do have is the occasional panhandling. We have the occasional person playing their music too loud or eating in a way that gets in the way of other folks' rides. So what we're doing is increasing our police presence, having a significant campaign to get the word out. And then when people do misbehave, they will be issued a ticket that effectively suspends them from the service. Depending on the severity, it can go anywhere from 1 day up to a full year. They do have an opportunity to appeal it, but our goal is not to go out and arrest a lot of people. It's simply to put the word out there that MARTA is a place for an enjoyable ride for everyone, and if you don't behave yourself, we will hold you accountable, and we are putting the resources to it to make sure that that happens.
That's great. So are there other steps that MARTA is taking to improve the overall customer experience?
Absolutely, and we're just beginning. You know, one of the things that we also are figuring out is why people ride us, why don't some people ride us, and what can we do to get more things done? So we're having a secret shopper program, for example, where we're having folks go out and explore every element of our service, everything from calling me to see how I respond to them when they ask a question, to making sure our bus operators and rail folks are on their best behavior at all times, and getting out there for our customer service agents. The goal is to figure out where we have customer service gaps and make improvements in those areas. In addition, the agency is going through quite a few different things to figure out where to put the right service. We have an effort called a comprehensive operations analysis, where we're exploring every single route on the system. We've never done that at MARTA, to make sure that where we have our service is where people really need to be, where they need to go. and that we plan our services accordingly. The agency is also undergoing an effort to make sure we're as efficient as possible. So we're looking at every element of our business, from human resources up to engineering programs and whatnot, to make sure that the things we do internally are best done by us. And if there's some small businesses out there that can do it better, faster, cheaper than us, then we want to see if those are opportunities that we can explore. So many things, from doing small things to improve the customer experience to doing many big things to make sure that the agency is spending its money wisely. We're arranging the gamut of all those activities.
That sounds great. Can you tell us how people can find out more about the Ride with Respect and the other major changes that MARTA has in store for its customers?
Absolutely. One of the best places to go is our website, because we have lots of information about the Ride with Respect campaign, about our new phone app, about our efforts, even in transit-oriented development, which is a great new thing we're undergoing as well, at itsmarta.com, itsmarta.com, and we have just a range of information there. In addition, you can always call us at our offices. We're in any station agent who's out there, they can provide lots of good information as well. So we're trying to make our agency more customer friendly in every way, and to really promote an overall aura of one that says you're the customer and we really do prize you.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Keith. Fred,
yes.
Welcome to the show again.
Thank you again.
So Keith has informed our viewing audience about the Ride with Respect campaign and some of the other major changes that are taking place at MARTA. What is the role of the MARTA board in shaping the agency's future?
Well, the role of the board is really to set the objectives and the goals for the staff so that we can put forth a ride that our riding public can be comfortable with. I think one of the challenges that we've had in the past is that the overall sustainability of the organization was in question in terms of our ability to generate enough revenue to make sure that the service could continue on. One of the things that we did when the new board was put in place was you brought a business acumen around the table, where you had individuals who had the experience, if you will, of working with multi-million-dollar budgets, and brought that expertise to the table, where there had to be accountability put forth. There was not a great deal of accountability in the past, and accountability that starts at the board. You can't hold others accountable unless you hold yourself accountable. So from that perspective, when we went through and had to make difficult decisions, raising fares is a difficult decision because it impacts many riders across the spectrum. But having to do that, looking at the long-term sustainability of the organization, we made that decision. But in addition, we wanted to have MARTA looked at independently, and that's when we ordered the KPMG study to really look down and have a deep dive into the organizational practices of MARTA. What could we improve upon? What did we do well? What are other best practices, not only domestically, but internationally? Because we want the best transit system in the world, not just domestically, not just in the United States. So we had KPMG come in and assist us. After our previous CEO resigned, we knew that we needed a roadmap for the next CEO to come in and really have an outline of what needed to be done, a roadmap to how do we improve the organization. And that's what we were able to have for Mr. Parker when he came on last December. And he's just taken it and run with it. He's brought on very competent staff. He surrounded himself with a leadership team that we all feel very comfortable with. And you see the results of having a roadmap and then having a competent individual who had the experience and expertise to come in and to really take MARTA to levels that we've not seen before.
Well, we're certainly seeing that. Thank you so much, Fred.
You're very welcome.
When we will take a short break, and when we return, we will continue our discussion with MARTA's General Manager and CEO, Keith Parker, and MARTA's Board Chairman, Fred Daniels. You are watching The District. Stay tuned. There's more to come. Welcome back to the district, everyone. I am Joan Garner, your Fulton County Commissioner for District 6. If you just tuned into the show, we are having a discussion with MARTA General Manager and CEO Keith Parker and MARTA Board Chairman Frederick Daniels about MARTA's new public service campaign called Ride with Respect and Plans for the Future. Fred, before the break, you were telling us about the role of the MARTA Board and what it does in shaping MARTA's future. Recently, the Georgia legislature made changes to the board's makeup. How many representatives now serve from Fulton, DeKalb, and City of Atlanta on the MARTA board?
Okay. You currently have 3 representatives from Fulton County. You have 3 representatives from the City of Atlanta, and you have 4 representatives from DeKalb County. You also have, 2 representatives from the state in terms of the Greta executive director, who is a non-voting member, and then you have the Georgia DOT commissioner, who is a voting member.
Okay. So the MARTA board members' terms end at the same time in 2014. Do you think board members' terms should be staggered? If so, why? If not, why not?
They should be staggered. What you don't want to happen is all of the board members to roll off at one time, because all the institutional knowledge that will roll with them, if you will, and we would leave our general manager having to essentially retrain a whole new board in regards to transportation. The MARTA board, a MARTA board member has a lot of information that they have to get up to speed on in really a very short period of time. And to have transition in terms of, you can have a board member roll off, but as long as you have someone there that has the, again, the institutional knowledge and the experience of, dealing with, large items, multi-million-dollar budgeted items, and really the demeanor and the experience from the perspective of having had to make tough decisions. Many times, people get on boards and, they look to be liked. Well, we're appointed to make difficult decisions, and sometimes they're unpopular decisions. I give the example of when we raised the fare was the first time I was ever booed in my life. I mean, there were community advocates that felt very strongly that we should not raise the fare, but unfortunately, we had to make what we felt was the right decision in terms of MARTA's ongoing sustainability. And without making those types of decisions, which are obviously unpopular, then you are dooming the agency for mediocrity, and we don't want that. We want the best out of the organization, and we have to again hold people accountable.
That actually went into my next question, so I'll go to the next one, which is the Fulton County board member Adam Orkin recently resigned, and his replacement will eventually be appointed for the remainder of his term. Is there anything that you'd like to say about Mr. Orkin's service on the board?
I will tell you that Mr. Orkin brought forth a very strong business acumen that was very helpful. We were all sad to see that he had family obligations and business obligations that necessitate the need for him to resign. Adam was a sense of inspiration for all of us. He always had a calm demeanor, always wanted what was best for the organization. He challenged leadership from the perspective of, is this the right thing to do? And he challenged us as board members to make sure that we always, took into account, is this the best, are these the best practices? Is this the best way for us to move forward? So from that perspective, he was a very, very valuable board member, and his tenure will be missed.
So as board chair, what do you think are the attributes of an effective board member?
I think that effective board member, one, has to be open to change. Transportation in its purest form is changing on a daily basis. You're seeing that transportation systems all across the country can no longer really look at what was historically done in the past. If you look at funding mechanisms, gas taxes. Well, because there are fewer miles being driven in terms of vehicles becoming more effective, then there's less money that's being generated through gas taxes. When you look at the mechanisms by which transportation systems are expanding, you always could look to the federal government to know that there was, $1 billion here, $1 billion there, that they could come in and help you. Now it's gotten more competitive. It's no longer just the fact that we want to expand our system and we can just march up to Washington and have one of our representatives, allocate money towards us. We have to compete. We have to show that we are efficient with our dollars. We're prudent with the monies that have been allocated to us, and we have to show the need for expanded transit. And then, even beyond that, you're competing against transit systems all across the country. So when you bring a new board member to the table, they have to, again, be willing to roll up their sleeves and come up to speed very quickly on the challenges that stand before transit, but also understand that the changes that are taking place are rapid, and we have to continue to adjust to those changes. So we're looking for, we obviously can't appoint those individuals, but we look to the commissioners to bring forth an individual that has the financial expertise, but also the willingness to come to the table, to work hard, and be open to looking at different opinions to come to what is the best decision for the organization.
And my last question for you, Fred, it seems MARTA's relationship with the legislature and the MARTA Oversight Committee is improving. Why is that happening, and what do you expect the trend, if you expect that trend to continue?
I think the MARTA Committee really looked to hold this board accountable for improving the organization, for putting forth a strategic plan, for putting forth objectives that are achievable, and then making sure that we're managing the resources that we have properly, facilitating relationships with them, not necessarily going to the newspaper every time that there's a disagreement or going on TV, but facilitating and working through our difficulties one-on-one. I think that has gone a long ways in terms of improving the relationship, because when you really get down to it, everybody wants MARTA to succeed. I think there's just different opinions in terms of how to get there. And so the more that we dialogue and the more that we really work towards those mutual solutions, we believe that the better the relationship will get. And hopefully, the state will see, with the changes that we've made, that we've earned and we're worthy of additional investment.
Great. Thank you so much, Fred. Keith, I know that you're entering your first anniversary. Happy anniversary at MARTA. You've already mentioned several accomplishments so far. Are there others that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, certainly I think what allows us to be able to make investments back into our customers by increasing the amount of service we have out there, making investments back to our employees. Most of our employees have not had raises in the last 5 or 6 years, and only one raise in the last 10 years. We'll be able to give a lump sum bonus to a good chunk of our folks just before Christmas. We're still in negotiations with our labor union, so our represented employees, we still have work to do. And then certainly the piece that's most important is getting our fiscal house in order. So we've concentrated on customer reliability, employee reliability, and then fiscal responsibility. The fiscal component is where we've made the most sizable turnaround, I would say. We went from, in December when I came in, there was a projected $33 million loss in this year's fiscal 13. We were able to turn that around to a $9 million surplus. That's only the third time in 16 years that MARTA has been able to balance its budget. And with those savings, we can now take those investments and put them back into the employees, to the customers, and give a sense of stability long term to the agency. So that's the real message we're putting out there, is that our agency is one that's taking on its challenges. And one of the great things about having Chairman Daniels in place and then the rest of the board has been that they gave a solid direction of, we want fiscal sustainability first and foremost. And then they stood by and supported the tough choices that we had to make. So that's what I look for in a board member. You didn't really ask me that question, but that is one of the things that we look for as leadership. We want folks who will say, here's a policy, here's a direction, now go get it done, and we're going to stand behind you. And they've done that in large measure. Some other things that we're doing to bring about again, just more comfort from people in terms of knowing that their transit system is listening. I've probably done 100, 125 public meetings in the time I've been here, going to South Fulton, South DeKalb, as far up as Alpharetta, going out in many different neighborhoods and whatnot, and just asking people, what do you want from your transit system? What are the things that would make you feel more compelled to ride with us? And if you're already riding, how can we give you an even more dignified experience? And we've listened, and that's why the Ride with Respect campaign came about. That's why we've had more police presence. Mm-hmm. That's why we've made a real point to not increase fares, because customers have told us, keep the service nice, keep it affordable, and listen to us whenever you can.
Great. So would you please tell our viewing audience, what can Fulton County and its citizens do to help you implement your vision for MARTA and how they can get involved?
Certainly to continue to participate, that when we have public meetings, we don't even pretend to think we know all the right answers. As I mentioned, the Ride with Respect campaign came from meetings largely with seniors who said that they didn't feel comfortable riding the buses and trains at night. And so we listened and said, what can we do to make folks feel a bit more comfortable? And when we introduce new service, we typically will have a public hearing. So that's a great time for people to come out and say, well, we like this idea, we don't like that idea. Or if you were planning to put a new bus route in this area, why don't you consider putting it in this other area as well? So we really want to hear from customers, we really want to hear from folks about any and all these ideas that we'll be generating, because ultimately, we're accountable to the taxpayers, and the taxpayers are our bosses, and we want to make sure that what we are doing out there reflects their desires and their wishes.
Well, thank you, Fred and Keith, so much for joining us today, and I'm very excited about what I've heard in terms of your new campaign, and I know that MARTA will be and is a great success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When we return, I will share my closing thoughts. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the district. I am Joan Garner, your Fulton County Commissioner for District 6. Today, we were joined by MARTA General Manager and CEO Keith Parker and MARTA Board Chairman Frederick L. Daniels, Jr. to tell us about MARTA's new public service campaign and plans for the future. MARTA is part of a regional solution to transportation and is working across the region with transit partners and planning agencies. Even as fuel prices fluctuate, MARTA will be part of environmental and traffic alleviation goals. MARTA is planning new services, upgrades, transit partnerships, and is part of envisioning new transit solutions such as the Beltline. As Atlanta and the metropolitan area continue to grow, MARTA will continue to be an integral part of the community, the economy, and transportation system in the region, providing a meaningful mobility choice and attractive alternative to the automobile for all residents and visitors to the area. I want to thank my guests for the helpful information they provided us today, and thank you for joining us on The District. That's our show for today. Feel free to contact my District 6 office anytime by calling us at 404-612-8226. You can email us at district6@fultoncountyga.gov, tweet with us at ComJoanGarner, and of course, friend us on Facebook. Until we meet again, I am your District 6 Fulton County Commissioner, Joan Garner. Thanks for watching The District.